Snatch grip deadlifts. Snatch grip Romanian deadlifts. I don't know how many times I've been recommended to try this. I've messed around with it before, but I've never really properly had a go at it. Today was the day. You guys have been, in this discussion of upper back weakness and, thoracic extension, staying strong underneath the front squat, back squat, all that stuff. A lot of you guys have come up with this recommendation, this advice. And so today was the day. I decided to do it. I'm kind of, feeling flat today, and I thought it would be a really good idea to try something new, another angle of attacking my weakness. And so today I came in, first thing was, let's work up to a heavy single with a deadlift. It was only 220 kilos today. Understandably, after what I did yesterday with the 190 for 11 and all that stuff. So I got that out of the way, and then I got into 60 kilo, I guess you want to call them snatch grip Romanian deadlifts. The bar was never touching the floor. I was trying to focus on basically full spinal extension. I was focusing on the upper back, but with that also comes mid back and lower back. You're basically trying to keep your back extended while you are doing a hip hinge movement type thing. Obviously, there's many different ways of doing this. I was kind of not doing them stiff-legged. I was doing them more, I guess, soft-legged, whatever the term is. I was kind of mimicking a deadlift, I wasn't trying to do a stiff leg. And I can tell you, I can already feel, it's been like 5-6 hours after the training session, but I can already feel my upper back, my traps, the effects from that. No doubt, it's a great exercise. It's a great exercise, and while I was doing them, I ended up doing 5 sets of 20 with just 60 kilos, just trying to feel the movement, feel the contraction. While I was doing them, the only thought that I had, this is crazy stuff, the only thought that I had was clock off doing this movement. I think, I don't know, I make a mockery of this because I'm not really good at weightlifting terminology and exercises, but I think it's a snatch, hang clean, or I don't know what you call it, from a hang position snatch, basically. I remember he did a pause at the sort of like knee level or something along those lines, and then like he used some stupid amount of weight. Like I want to say like over 200 kilos. I saw a video once, incredible. Like I'm doing 60 kilos and I'm basically deadlifting it. He's throwing 200 plus. Like that to me is just insanity. I don't even know how a human being can do that, but he did that. It's just insane. So as I was doing that, I was thinking about that, and the thoughts that I was having through this period of training. I thought, gee, this awfully, the reason why you guys recommended this exercise to me was for upper back strength, strengthening that weakness. And then it kind of occurred to me, of course the snatch grip puts more emphasis on the upper back. But any sort of bent over position, deadlift, RDL, good morning, anything like that is going to help this front squat. Because the whole idea is keeping that spinal extension. The whole spine needs to be extended. You can't afford rounding. And I know a lot of guys, a lot of advanced powerlifters, they kind of have taken upon that rounded back deadlift. Which is fine for the sport of powerlifting, but that is not the posture you need to have to get good at a front squat. I think too many powerlifters round their shoulders over while they're doing some of these exercises, and that doesn't translate well to front squatting. Front squatting is essentially full extension of the back from neck all the way down, because the idea is to stay upright. And so what I found today was, after I did the snatch grip deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, when I went over to the front squats, I felt more comfortable. I felt like my whole spine had an easier time to keep in that extended position, thoracic extension particularly. So it was a great recommendation by you guys. I should have done it earlier. Basically, what I'm thinking right now is that this is, I mean, it's crazy stuff, right? Like, and you guys know the style of these videos, and what I say in these videos. I basically tell you what I'm thinking, and sometimes I say things and I'm like, well, I didn't think that through all the way. But right now I'm thinking deadlifting, putting volume in deadlift type movements, doesn't matter what type of movement you pick, is going to help the front squat. I know I originally said the front squat is going to help the deadlift. But I feel like depending on what you need, you have to put the volume into the opposite. So if I want to improve my front squat, all I got to do is focus on the deadlift, and the front squat will feel easier because I'm going to have an easier time keeping that back extended. I'm going to have an easier time to keep that thoracic spine extended because I've put in a lot of volume into my back, thoracic back, mid back, lower back through the deadlifting. And so when you go back to front squats, you are having an easier time to stay upright because the bar is not bending you over. You're not collapsing the integrity of your spine, right? But if you want to target, let's say, the deadlift, you want to improve your deadlift, putting a lot of volume into the front squat is going to, in a similar way, offer that same kind of rigidity and integrity to the upper back to a lesser degree. But what it's going to do is it's going to introduce that quad, that quad movement or just knee extension while you are keeping a solid upper back. Somebody could say to me, well, why don't you just do lunges? Why don't you do some leg extensions? The reason why front squats are better than those two is because you are required in a front squat to keep your thoracic spine extended, like your whole back is working, isometrically, albeit, while you are using your quads. So it's kind of like there's a better carryover there. You're using the body in similar movement patterns in a similar, motor neuron anagram to the deadlift. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself like, okay, so if I want to improve my deadlift, I'll just do a lot of volume in front squats. If I want to do, a lot of good front squats, improve my 1RM in front squats, let's just do a lot of heavy pulling. Because like what I'm trying to do really here is improve my thoracic extension. Nothing exists on this planet better than deadlifting. Nothing. You can do all the face pulls that you want. You can do rowing until the cows come home. Thoracic extension cannot be trained in a better way than through a deadlift. Obviously, there's variations to a standard off the ground deadlift. Many different things you can do. I did today a snatch grip deadlift. You could also do a deficit deadlift, which is going to put more of a horizontal angle to that back, which is further going to increase that, thoracic extension, component to the lift. So I'm finding all of these, albeit, intellectual, theoretical connections between these lifts. But that's where I am right now. I'm thinking to myself, man, let's not beat around the bush, man. You got a weak back. Just call it a damn weak back. Call it a weak back and just get after it. But when you're doing these deadlifts, do it with the purpose of, do it with the mentality of, I'm doing this for a front squat. You don't want to go back to the rounded back deadlift, right? Like, there's many different ways of doing a deadlift. But if you do it with your chest out, chin up, kind of like a weightlifter getting ready to do a clean, right? They're not collapsing their spine. Like it's a very, very different pull when you watch Klokov do a deadlift versus when you see a powerlifter do a deadlift. A lot of these powerlifters, they just collapse their shoulders over. They don't care. They're moving a lot more weight. I get it. But they are not thinking about keeping a up vertical, back at some point. Yeah, whereas weightlifting, the whole sport in my eyes seems to be who can be more vertical. A lot of these positions, obviously you need to pull the bar, but then once you catch the bar, you need to be as vertical as possible because any angle that has you inclining, that has you bending forward, just puts tremendous amount of force, torque, whatever you want to call it, force, requirement for your back to stabilize that. Especially the bars. I mean, there's obviously different techniques involved. The bar is not crashing on you, but you have to catch that bar. And it's obviously easier to catch it on a horizontal shelf rather than on a freaking shelf that's kind of 45 degrees pointing down. So I'm going to continue doing my bodyweight squats. I think that's a freaking find and a half. That's going to continue these DOMs. Like it's literally been, I don't know how long, man, a week or two now that I've had continuous DOMs through my quads because of these bodyweight squats. I think they're doing something. So that is a keeper. That is an absolute keeper. I think I'm going to smash the quads, continue to do that. But this whole upper back component, which I'm trying to chase for the front squat, I think it's going to get addressed with just continual pulling. I can mix it up. I can get creative with this, do deficits, do snatch, do straight ground deadlifts, do rack pulls, do any freaking pull you want to do. I don't think there's anything better than a pull. You insert whatever variation you want, and I think your upper back is going to get strengthened. All of this stuff that we talk about, moving the arms up and down, back and forth, whatever, whether it's a pull-up or a row or a chin-up, whatever you want to do, that is not something that we are doing in a front squat. That is not something that we're doing in a deadlift. I get it. Putting slabs of meat onto your frame is going to be beneficial regardless. But if you want to attack specific movements. I'm not interested in shoving my elbows past my back or shoving them into my pockets or whatever, row, pull, whatever you want to describe it as. I just want integrity of the spine. I don't need the lats to do anything, or I don't need the upper arms to do anything. Pull down or pull back. I don't need them to do that. So it's kind of like, I can do the row. The row is in a bent over position, but the act of rowing is a lat trap movement. But I basically need erectors. Of course, lats and traps are going to be involved in that thoracic extension to some degree as stabilizers or synergists or whatever you want to call them. But the primary focus there is just keeping a flat back. You can wave your arms around if you want, but it's not necessary. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking right now. And when I see these weightlifters, what do? They spend a shit ton of time overhead, right? That's an upper back thing. Overhead, but also in bent over positions, whether it's a snatch or a clean, they're doing pulling. And this is why they have strong upper backs. Just pull the damn bar. So you see somebody front squat, you see yourself front squat on a video, and you're like, my upper back was perfectly vertical, like a freaking candle. It was just straight up and down. But I failed the lift with a vertical back. Then you say to yourself, I'll go weak legs. Let's work on legs. But if your legs are strong enough, like me, I feel like I can push this weight up, but I'm collapsing my upper body, then you have to say to yourself, then the back is the problem because the angle of the back is trouble. You can't extend. Your back extension is not as strong, to cope with that. I could be wrong with this. But in this whole cascade of thoughts about how do I keep my back extended? How do I keep my upper back extended? Look up, look this way, look that way. What are these muscles? Just do some pulling, man. What do I do for pulling? All I've ever freaking done for pulling is singles, deadlift, practice. I don't really do volume. Last time I did volume in a pull type of variation was a little while ago. Properly, like heavy ass pulling, I did started the year with the RDLs. I was using like 200 kilos for 5 sets of 5. Heavy ass work, man. And I got good results with the back squat. Now I'm sitting here, I'm thinking to myself, did I add leg strength to that? No, I don't. Or of course, hamstrings were there. But what I think that thing offered me was back extension. Like there is not an extensor in my spine that didn't get worked in those RDLs. Everything has to be an extension. The whole idea is to keep your thoracic back extended. No one's doing RDLs with a rounded over back. After that, I moved over to some good mornings. I did a whole bunch of good mornings. That's also very good, but I feel like good mornings are more kind of geared towards hamstrings. The weight's light, the stretch on the hamstring is a lot. I think snatch grip RDLs, which basically emphasize the upper back more, and because of that grip, that's kind of what you need. So the front squat is kind of like a blend of two things. Leg strength, of course, but it's also back strength because you need to have that shelf horizontal. For every degree that you bend over, for every degree that you collapse, just puts multiple factors of force required on top. Now, I'm somebody, like I said, I feel like my legs are strong enough. I can squat 210. I wish I could squat 220, but I feel like my legs can push to 210 kilos. My front squat is 175. I reckon I could squeeze a little bit more out of those legs if my back could take that positioning. So I think what's going to happen now is, I need to think about this a little bit more. What I'm thinking is, obviously, the bodyweight squats, like I mentioned, I'm going to do them. But I'm thinking one day, Hindus or bodyweight squats, whatever you want to call them, and another day, do some sort of back exercise. I'm going to call it pulling. Do some sort of pulling. And I can get creative with this. I can go back to rec pulls. I can go do deficits. I can do snatch grip. I can do a heavy, like I did yesterday, 180 or 190, whatever I did for 11, just straight deadlifts. Just do heaps of pulling. Obviously, I can't do 190 for 11 off the ground every day. I can't push that every single day. The expense is very, very high. But I think there are variations in the whole pulling world which cost a little less. And I think Snatch Grip is very cheap. I'm using very small amount of weight. It's very, very awkward. There's a massive pull on my traps. I felt that even from the first rep. It's just like a different angle of stability for the upper back, which obviously weightlifters are masters at, because they not only pull in that position, but they also go overhead in that position, which is just an upper body rape, really, when you think about it. Really exposes the musculature of the upper back. So that's what I think. I might be wrong in my analysis of somebody doing front squats, but I feel like if you got strong enough legs, the only thing left to talk about is the back. You know, how good are you at pulling things? You know, and not pulling things, and just like I said, as a powerlifter, pulling things with the, you know, chin up, you know, chest out, because that's the posture that you're going to have in a front squat. So basically, that's what I'm kind of thinking here. Pull with the back like it's going to be in a front squat. So do your pulls like that, because that is the positioning that you need for a front squat, right? That's what you need, you know. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. I'm just going to start doing my pulls like that. You might take the deadlift down a little bit because it's, you know, a new movement or whatever, but really force that chest out. I'm just picturing the bar on my collarbones in my front rack. But what I'm doing with that positioning now is I'm doing RDLs. Okay. Really just curve that back, you know, look up, like really pinch the traps, the erectors from the neck all the way down to the tailbone. Just lock them in. Because that's, like I said, that's going to be the story. That's going to be the fight when you are doing front squats. So it's kind of like that, right? Like, it's like a roadmap. Get good at pulling. That's going to get you better at front squatting, like my case at least. That front squat is going to, you know, get you better quads. That's going to get you a better back squat. And that back squat is going to give you a better deadlift. I know for a fact that every single time I've given myself a strong block of back squats, my deadlift improves. If I go hammer and tongs against the deadlift and smash the deadlift or pulling variations, my front squat seems to be, in theory, I haven't proved that yet, to improve. Front squat for back squat for deadlift, deadlift for front squat for back squat, over and over and over I go. That's what I feel like the map is here. As long as you have kind of like a Google Maps, a view of what the training is going to do. Okay, so I need a pull today. Pick a pull, whatever, it doesn't really matter. As long as you're, like I said, you're in that position of a front squat, back position, you know, stick your chest out, chin up, all that stuff that I mentioned. Do that, do your front squats, do your back squats. It's all kind of linked. It's all, those three lifts are kind of linked. Now, the interesting thought is now, okay, in the pulling world, in the pulling basket, which variations are going to mean most? I think snatch grip deadlift is going to be a very frequent occurrence in my training. I have a feel right now because the thing can be done basically every day, especially if I do it for sets of 20 with 60 kilos. That could be an everyday thing. It's not going to cost me that much. 190 kilos strictly deadlift off the floor for a set of 11, maybe not so much. Maybe that's going to be a once a week type thing. Rack pulls. Rack pulls, I'm thinking, are less useful because the starting position is so upright. And the whole idea about this stuff is to, you know, start with a kind of bent over position, challenge that thoracic extension more. However, if I did a rack pull, like say tomorrow I come in and I do a rack pull and I'm really focusing, like really pinning my shoulders back, looking up, thinking like I'm going to front squat, but I'm doing a rack pull, maybe there's benefit there because maybe I could overload that particular range of motion. So these are the things that I'm thinking. This is the discovery for today. I was pleasantly surprised that my front squats felt pretty good today. I felt like my whole back was warmed up for back squats. And I don't know about you guys. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, especially after yesterday's deadlift effort. But I felt today I had really good control of my upper back. I felt like my front rack was good. In some of these clips, I don't know whether you've seen or you're about to see, I actually had like a full-ish grip on the bar. So things are kind of moving along. And I think, you know, speaking about the grip, I think when it comes to the grip, you know, walking straight out of the car into the gym and going to a front rack pisses my wrist off. But if I do some sort of other exercise, like with the bar in my hands, like a row or whatever, pull up, or like what I did today with the snatch grip, it warms up my hands, it releases my hands, it gets blood in there, and I have a happier time doing the front rack. So maybe I'm gonna go back to this, man. Pull first and then squat second. So maybe tomorrow I'll come in and do some sort of pull. I'll have to think about this a little bit more. I'm just basically sharing my ideas with you guys. Do some sort of pull, and then come and do my front squats, and then back squats, and then maybe home time, or maybe do some more pulling, something along those lines. I think that's going to be the focus. Now, body weight squats every single other day. I don't want to do it every single day because I'm going to be doing quite a lot of volume for the back, for the upper back or whatever. I don't even know what to call it, for pulling. Let's just say for pulling. I'm going to be doing a lot of pulling every day, every other day. And then the other day is going to be a lot of body weight squats. So that's kind of the setup right now. Having said all of that, I'm not an athlete. I'm not a professional athlete. Tomorrow I've got a night. Tomorrow I've got a night shift. And I've got another night shift after that. So everything I said there is going to be chilled back a fair bit. And I'll just do what I can, on a schedule that I have. So, I'll come in tomorrow and do some body weight squats, but it's not going to be anything crazy. Because I'll have to go back to bed at some point throughout the day. Have a bit of a nap and then go into a 12-hour night shift, which is not ideal for recovery. So tomorrow is going to be a chilled session. I say that, but I've made mistakes like this before. I say that, okay, this is the plan, and then I come in and something feels good and I end up doing a PR. That's kind of like how things happen. But that's kind of what I have in my mind. Pulling one day, so quads another day, or body weight squats the other day. That's kind of the emphasis for day one, day two. Let's say I'm going to run it on 2-day kind of splits, and then maybe on the back on the quad day I'll do a back squat as well. So front squats every day, and I'll just split it up. On the back day I'll do deadlifts. On the leg day I will do back squats, something like that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think it's a good way to look at it. I think the roadmap that I've kind of outlined in this video makes a bit of sense. Deadlift to front squat to back squat to deadlift. So depending on what you need, depending on where you are, where your lift is falling apart, is where you put the volume in those 3 lifts. If you're shit at deadlifting, do back squats. If you're shit at front squats, do deadlifting. If you're shit at back squats, do front squats. Is that a thing? Is that even a thing? I'm not sure. But that's kind of the thinking right now. For all of you guys that said snatch grip deadlifts, try them. It seems like for the last few months. Thank you for that. I understand now what you mean. I have a feeling the traps are going to be quite angry tomorrow. It's a weird angle having your hands out that far apart. You literally feel like, there's 2 people pulling you apart. Your shoulder girdles are like being expanded. The shoulder blades are being pulled apart. That's what it feels like. Anyway, let me get out of here, guys. I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you, everyone, for those comments, obviously, for the recommendations. I do read them. I do consider them. I put them into my brain, and it kind of gets mushed apart together. All the atoms are flying around, and I kind of come up with ideas of my own, compare notes. So thank you for that. Thank you for everyone on the Patreon list. You guys are legends. Really appreciate you guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.